the only sports talk you need. With Jerry Barca.
Can you believe in sports as role models anymore? Should you? Or are you stupid enough for having believed you could have a role model in sports before these two incidents?
Jeff Bradley.
Scott Van Pelt and Ryan Russillo are the two whitest dudes in the world. I mean, frat boys, both of them.
And Bobby Brown.
I think that's the problem with Kobe. He's never really had someone deal with him in the old-fashioned way, which is if you run your mouth a little too much, I'll see you in the locker room.
They're the Killer Bees. You're listening to the Killer Bees.
This is the LeBron Invitational. This is nothing more than that. It's a LeBron Invitational. Whoever, you could put. I'm saying you could put LeBron on any team and he's winning the championship. He happens to be on the Heat because he did that thing, the decision. But can anybody beat the Heat?
Heck yeah. They're going to have a challenge coming out of the East if the Knicks proceed to play them in the Eastern Conference Championship. I know that is assuming that they're going to make it that far, being the Miami Heat and the Knicks. But the Knicks match up well. The Knicks put it on the Heat. Simple and plain. They own that series throughout the regular season. They're a veteran team. They're just as hungry because a lot of those guys will never get a championship if this is not the year. And they've got the city of New York behind them, which in itself is some momentum.
Jeff Bradley.
I always watch it like I watch tennis. It gets interesting to me when they don't hold serve.
So if they don't win at home, that's what you're saying. I'm translating.
Right.
Yeah, so if they don't win at home, that gets interesting.
Then I get interested. Until they drop one at home, I'm with you. I think that they roll right through this.
The Knicks, I'm not buying it. Bottom line, I'm not buying it. LeBron has taken his game to a particular level that is, I'm going to say it's Jordan-esque at this point. And what I mean by that,
don't use that
he's
word.
Not playing like Jordan, two completely different styles of games, but his intensity level and his ability to be effective in winning games on his own and taking over is clearly there, and I think you're going to see it run through June.
It's the Killer Bees.
NFL fans, we are the housewives of the 1960s because all it is our soap opera. There's no football being played, and we're hooked in. We're locked in because it's Andy Reid is going to go back to Philadelphia. Wait, the Manning Brothers Bowl? I can't wait.
Barca, Bradley, and Brown. They're the Killer Bees. Sports plus fashion equals Bobby Brown.
I believe I might be of service.
Some guys are having a fashion fail, and I gotta go. Even though LeBron's my man, a summer sweater with I don't know what those were, palm trees.
I think Jeff Bradley has that on layaway for when he's 73.
He went Cliff Huxtable.
What color? What color was that?
What coral?
Coral. I was gonna call it puke. But I'll go coral. And I think there is something to be said about making a fashion statement and going out there on a limb. It takes some of that, but you got to do it at least within some sort of rational sphere of fashion sense, right?
If you're Bron and you're the man, you're just laying it on the table. You're saying, did you hear it hit the table? He's saying, I'm a man.
I'm a man's man.
I'm going to wear the sweater the way I want.
Right. And I'm wearing the sweater. The sweater's not wearing me.
I think he gets away with it.
I don't know. Maybe that comes with the transformation with him psychologically. And maybe you got a point there because even if you read the articles, now GQ's writing about all their stylists in the NBA. And you can tell just by what LeBron said that it's taken him a while to get to the point where he's confident in wearing some of these extreme outfits.
I'd like to think that LeBron chose that and said to his teammates, yeah, I'm going to wear this as a joke.
You're listening to the Killer Bees.
I will never understand it, but God bless the NFL. They now I can't even listen to anybody talk about baseball in baseball season because they're talking about their fantasy teams and the draft and the schedule.
It's the Killer Bees.
We have a very special treat for you right now. On the line, the reigning NFL Defensive Player of the Year, the pride of Pewaukee, Mr. J.J. Watt of the Houston Texans. J.J., how are you?
I'm doing great. How you guys doing?
Great. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
JJ, thanks for coming. This is Bobby Brown here. I'm sitting here and looking at the images. You not only obviously got picked high in the first round, but you wore quite the dapper suit and combination there. Tell us about that process. You're looking good there, man. So we're trying to help these young guys make sure they make the right fashion decision this year.
I appreciate that. You know, one of the advantages of being a high draft pick and coming out and going to New York is a lot of suit companies want to be able to say they're the ones who made your suits. So you get a lot of options. You get a lot of places custom fitting you for nice suits and everything. And I'm a small town kid from Wisconsin. I don't claim to be a fashionista. I don't claim to be a guy who knows what he's supposed to wear. So I let these people put me in what they thought was the best outfit. And then at the end of the day, I made sure that my mom thought I looked good, and that's all that mattered to me. So I walked out there.
You've managed to stay hungry. I guess if you could talk a little bit about that from up to this point, and then where you take that hunger moving forward.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that will never ever change about me is that hunger, is that hunger to be great, to be the best. Like I said, I'm a small town kid, and I've always had these dreams. I've always had these goals, and along the way, there's been a lot of people that tell me I can't do things. And so I'm thankful to be here, but I also put in a lot of work to get here. And this season was great. I obviously had a lot of success, but I also know how hard that I had to work to get where I am now, and I know how hard it's going to be to stay at this level and to grow even higher from here. Every time I set a goal and I achieve that goal, I set a new goal. I think the time that you see guys fall off, or the time that you see guys get stagnant, is when they're complacent, is when they're happy with where they are, they're happy with the way their life is going, and I'm not ever satisfied. I mean, my goal, if your goal is not to be the greatest at what you do, then you're wasting your time.
I guess for you, you've been able to stay hungry on the field and determined, but yet off the field, you're the man. Whether it's you're showing up at a rodeo or you're going to the minor league hockey game down in Houston, you are constantly available. And that's just on the fan level. I mean, you also did the USO tour in the offseason, this offseason. What's your mentality and your approach to making yourself that accessible to people?
For me, there's two things. First off, I'm a firm believer, if you want a city to support you, you want them to come out and show you support and show you love, you have to be willing to go out and show them support and show them love. And so every chance I get, I'm trying to go out into the city and do everything that I can to show that I appreciate them. And then the second thing is, I know that this isn't going to last forever. I know that you get about, if I'm lucky, I'm going to get 10 to 12, maybe 15 years in this league. And you get to live the dream. You get to be famous. You go around town, people know you. People want to take pictures and autographs. And I think in 30, 40 years, when I'm sitting on my rocker at my house, I'm sitting in a recliner at my house watching TV, I'm thinking back to how great these days were. I don't want to regret anything. I don't want to say, man, I should have gone out and met with the fans more. I should have taken advantage. How cool was that time? So I'm trying to take as much advantage of that time as I can.
Marco, Bradley, and Brown. They're the Killer Bees.
And I'll say this because the Chicago Bulls had a crazy guy in Dennis Rodman, but they had a superstar that could deal with him, and KD is built to deal with Westbrook.
Westbrook thinks he's on the level of superstar that Durant is. That's the issue. His
Don't
ego.
you want him to think that, though?
No. Subjugate yourself to the man, KD.
It's the Killer Bees. Here's Jeff Bradley with a view from the press box.
In the immediate aftermath of the Boston Marathon bombings, I heard a lot of voices saying basically, excuse me for not caring about the runners who didn't get to finish. And I get that. I do. Because with what transpired on that fateful day, Monday, April 15th, on Boylston Street in Boston's Back Bay, it's easy to understand why people would not care too much about thousands of amateur distance runners who did not get to finish their 26.2-mile run. But those runners should not just be forgotten. In fact, they should be celebrated, because marathoners are a special breed, a special band of brothers, if you will. I've run Boston twice, in 2001 and 2005. My finishers' medals hang proudly above my desk. It's not my times that I remember most, but simply the experience. It's a day that begins with a bus ride out to a middle school in the town of Hopkinton, Massachusetts, where you sit around for 4 or 5 hours, waiting for the long race to begin. Strangers quickly become friends. You begin talking about training and goals and personal records, But over time, you begin to talk about your kids, your wives, your husbands. It was ironic in a way for me that race day was such a social event because the long training runs were always done in solitude. When my marathons were over, I found myself going online to look up the names of the people I'd met, to see how they did, to see if they reached their goals. I never saw any of them again, yet all these years later I remember their faces and names. I remember them because of what we shared, because of the brotherhood. And I can't help but feel our world would be a whole lot better with more of that. So excuse me now for caring about the runners who didn't get to finish, because I do. I'm Jeff Bradley, and that's The View from the Press Box.
Boy, you're gonna be president, but just like everything else, those old days of dreams just kinda came and went.
Barca, Bradley, Brown. Killer Bees will be right back.